welcome to another Sawdust Nation podcast, episode 54. And I swear, Nick, and we got Nick from NPG Creation sitting over there mouthing every word I say. And then myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. I cannot watch him while doing this. And with that, what's with the weather? I mean, sponsors, man, where are we?
This is Nick from NPG Creations, by the way, because Josh forgot who I was.
No, I mentioned you. You weren't listening. You're too busy.
Yeah, I was lip syncing your voice here. All right, so we love to thank our sponsors, National Abrasives. Those guys are the bee's knees. They are a Merca dealer, so check them out at nationalabrasives.com for 10% off of your order. Go ahead and use promo code capital MSDN10. And if you're outside of the state of Pennsylvania and you order over $300, is it $300, Josh?
$300 it is,
yeah.
Yes.
It's free shipping and tax-free, so give it a look-see. Next up, we want to thank Totalboat for being awesome. They hooks up with a whole bunch of cool stuff. The complete package, the total package. So Totalboat is amazing. They got great epoxy and some wonderful varnish. But if you want a promo code for Totalboat, do me a favor. Go ahead and message the podcast page on the Instagram, and we'll hook you up. All right? We can get you 10% off, but I don't think we're supposed to announce that. Anyway.
Let's move on.
All right, moving on. And last but not least, Jtechphotonics. Go give them a visit, www.jtechphotonics.com. Jay over there is a customer serviced fiend, so he will get you squared away if you have questions. But in other news, I want to thank everybody for showing up to our live event tonight on the YouTubes. Oh, yeah. We had a decent turnout tonight, and the winner of our giveaway was Mr. Donald Starnes from Duckys, Mesquite. He ended up taking home a Sawdust Nation podcast 30-ounce tumbler. Looks like a Yeti. Smells like a Yeti, not a Yeti. Anyway, and he took home the Orca Abrasive sample pack for his sanding discs. Again, thank you, Orca Abrasives, for sponsoring that giveaway. That all being said, we got the housekeeping out of the way. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the shop. Oh, wait, Josh, you're not in the shop.
Yes, you heard that right. I'm in upstate New York at my camp where there is no internet. There is no signal. There's no messaging, no phone calls, no Nick calling me on the toilet asking about his dire questions for woodworking.
His diarrhea questions for woodworking.
Anyway, no, it's been great. We're out on a lake, so we get to go fishing. You know, we're barbecuing. We're having a great old time. Nice 4th of July with some family. Get to see some family. My daughter got to meet my father and mother for the first time, some other family. So moving out of the whole COVID thing, it's been great to be able to, just see family. And my brother had his wedding. I was his best man, so that was a great time. Went very smoothly. Knowing me, though, of course, I had to give the best man speech. And with that, you're going to kick out of this. So I'm talking, I'm saying basically his bride is now part of the Pulowski clan. And she moves from, just being the girlfriend to now a stepsister. Yeah, I said stepsister and not sister-in-law. The whole place goes up in laughter. And we moved on from that, but it was a blooper on my end, but it was funny. And Nick, you have a straight face, which I'm very surprised.
I didn't know y'all were like that up there in New York. I thought that was a Kentucky thing.
No, but it was funny. We had a great time. I'm glad that we're able to do this. But that's enough about me. The shop has been closed down. I do have some projects essentially that will be due a couple of days after me, getting back into the shop, and then some people that are waiting on some coats and stuff. And when I get back, so right back into the mix of it when I get back up to or down to Jersey, and that's about it for me. Nick, what do you got going on in your shop?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I have a lot. I always have a lot going on, mostly, unless I'm moving. But so I'm currently oversaturated with work. Not the real
It
work
never
where
happens.
not the one where I go to work every day and I actually did start going back to work. I just got off 3 weeks of vacation. But if you're
That's why
watching
you have
this,
the stash going on.
I looked like a caveman last week and I had to like get rid of that whole deal and shave for work. So now I have the old the little what do you call it? Flavor saver above my lip here. Got a little mustache going on. I can't say I like it, but it doesn't. I honestly don't think people at work like it either, and that's why I keep it. So anyway, long story
Don't
short,
tickle anyone's fancy.
no, it doesn't. Hopefully not. Anyway, but yeah, I've got a couple of different shadow boxes going on at the time. At this particular juncture, I don't know if you check out my Instagram, you'll see the one. It's a cherry wood Master Sergeant chevron, and it lights up. It's got a whole bunch of cool features to it. And the next one is I'm still working on that. Excuse me. Go ahead, Josh.
Question. It lights up. It's beautiful. Does it play the Air Force song? When
No,
you
but
walk by it?
I should totally do that. I should totally put like a thing where like it has a motion sensor and it plays the Air Force
every
song
time you
people.
can't shut it off.
Like what's that Billy Bass or whatever it is from
Yeah. The stripes that fold up and they wave.
But I still have
Anywho.
yet to, I've got a whole bunch of stuff that's nearing completion, but nothing done yet. I've got that foot locker I'm still working on. I flocked it. I flocked the lid actually.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Did
kind
you
of
flock
flocked
it
that
good,
up.
or did you just kind of?
I flocked it up real bad on the bottom of the lid. So, but it's okay because I didn't plan on keeping it flocked on the bottom. I was going to put a cover over it. So what I do, since the lid is so big and deep, I'm putting a flag up there that's folded inside of a flag case, but the customer wants to be able to stick like a ribbon rack and pins and patches up there. And if you just flock wood, you're not going to be able to do that. You have to use glue. So I figured I would get my do my corkboard trick, cut the corkboard to size, stretch actual felt over it, and then glue it to the bottom of the lid. This way, any sort of pins or ribbons or whatever, they'll stick no matter what. But I wanted to test out the whole flocking situation, and it came out okay on the sides, but I didn't knock the bottom out. So
what do you think your issue was? I mean, like for anyone that's trying to go out there and flock anything,
I didn't use
did you
enough.
Figure anything out?
I didn't use enough lubrication. What do you call it? The
glue.
Glue. I didn't use enough glue.
Yeah, I wouldn't use that as lubrication at all.
No, so it was inconsistent. I didn't do a consistent coat on the bottom. I should have, but I've got another shot at it. I got to do the inside of the entire box, so I'll do that when this week sometime. I did get another commission for another foot locker, so it's a smaller one, so it'll be a little bit more manageable and quicker. But it's going to pretty much mirror this one a little bit more. But it's going to have blue flocking and blue. Nope, no, it's not. It's going to have black. So I already have everything I need to make it, so I just have to execute. I got a flag commission today. I have to have that done in like 4 days and ship it out to get it to where it needs to go by like the 15th. Yeah, man. I got 2 other flags I'm working on. I got a sign I'm painting. I'm busy. And on top of that, now this is what I wanted to talk about. So when a customer comes to you, all right, with a huge job, something large that requires you to clear your schedule. Yeah, that big. Something so big that requires you to clear your schedule of any other workload because you want to be able to dedicate as much time as possible to this job because it's a large sum of money you're getting as well. And they keep jerking you around and pushing the deadline back and the date that they're going to pay you the money and all that stuff. What do you do, man? What do you do? Your business is small potatoes compared to everybody else. And you get a job that's large and in charge, and you can't not afford to take it because it's one of those jobs that is just going to pay out so well. What do you do when the customer starts just messing with your timeline there? Do you add a fee?
It depends. Like most of my jobs, I always make sure they pay ahead of time, or at least half ahead of time. But for a job, if I knew the client really well, like say my Army clients came up to me and go, hey, look, I need mallets. I need 10 more mallets, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting the money together and I'll give it to you, like a week after I get started. I trust him enough to do that. I've been working with them. But for someone completely new,
I wouldn't say new. So check it out. This is the second time that was the jerk around. The first time was the
two jerks.
The two jerks for this one, right? It was a double whammy. So the first jerk was when after the parameters for the entire deal had already been set, prices had been set, funds were supposedly approved, and
I know. Okay.
Everything was good to go. And then the customer says, "Oh, yeah, one person in our leadership doesn't know which, like, there's a budget issue now, which there wasn't before. Now one person wants to switch to something different after, mind you, all the R&D has been done for this particular item. So you have a particular item that you show them as like a mock-up, not a mock-up. It's actually it's a test piece, but it can be used as the actual item that you're going to produce. So it's actually, you did all the science and math to get that piece ready to go. And then they say, "Oh, we don't know if we're going with you now. They're talking about going with something else." And then you got to wait a few days on them to figure that one out. And then they're like, "Okay, we're going to go with you, but we're not going to do the full volume that we did last time or in our previous agreement."
Okay. In that predicament, I mean, depending on which volume and how much it decreased, I would definitely be like, okay, then the price might have to go up due to the fact of, like, before I give you a discounted price because the volume was this.
Yeah.
And now you have less. The discount has to go away because, like, it's easier to make mass quality of something because you get in repetition. You can use the material wiser, and it's already been planned. And did you already purchase the material?
No, we were waiting on the funds to purchase the material.
Okay.
I'm not gonna.
Just
there's
curious.
No way in Hades I would ever purchase that much stuff before
I
the
was just
client
curious.
paid out.
But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, definitely with those mallets, I keep going back to them because I make those in mass qualities, and even the realtor signs, because they ordered in such a large quantity, which ain't that large. Let's say 14, 15, whatever. But I mean, like, they have a small discount associated with that because they keep coming back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's a one-off thing, the price is different because, well, it's a one-off thing, and I can't afford to give them that price. I give them a discount because they keep coming back, and I make money off that. But yeah, I definitely would be like, okay, well, if the volume changed that dramatically, the price needs to go up a little bit.
Yeah, well, my partner in this particular piece is taking care of most of that stuff, and he's doing a good job. We still have the job. It's just frustrating when you get jerked around, like you're at somebody else's beck and call for something that's already been agreed upon. So, and there's
nothing you could do.
Yeah, well, there's nothing you can do. It's just, how do you handle yourself? You end up going to get your money either way, because they're going to come back to you for another job eventually.
Yeah, but I mean, like, like any business, anytime you're associating or talking or even wheeling and dealing, mock-ups, whatever, that is time out of your schedule. That's time that should be priced for. At one point, we used to not incorporate that. But I mean, if I have a client that takes, this never happened, but say 4 weeks, I keep going back and forth with them. I do mock-ups, I do this, that, and the other thing with them. I will, charge them something for that time, because, like, every time I'm on my phone messaging a client is time away from the shop, time away from my family, time away from something. And thankfully my wife helps me out with some of that. But I mean, it's just too much. you have to expect something.
True.
That's unfortunate, man. I know you guys were gun ho and ready to get that done. Anytime a large project like that rolls into the shop, I want to start working on it and get it knocked out.
That's why, you know what? That's why I would rather just do a contract, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because then if they change their mind and back out, you still get paid no matter what. If they sign the contract, enter into the agreement with you, then as long as you fulfill your end and, all that other jazz, you're fine. And it doesn't even have to be like if they back out and don't want the stuff, boom, you're still getting paid. I already said that, but that's the best part about it.
Yeah. I mean, especially with large volume projects like that, I would say it's almost the way to go. But there goes into how do you going to write a contract up? You know what I'm saying?
We don't write it up. We wouldn't write it up. That not company, but that entity would have to write it up, and then we would have to review it with most likely a lawyer.
You start getting into other stuff that, at least is outside of something I've done.
Anyway, in other news tonight, what do you got going on, Josh? What are we talking about? Oh, we have a question, don't we?
We do have a question.
That's right. From our Patreon and tonight's winner of the giveaway, Donald Starnes from Duckys Mesquite. Let me pull it up here and I'll tell you exactly what he writes.
Stalling hard. Am I doing a good job?
All right, so he writes, hey guys, last minute question. What material do you use for the CNC spoil board? And this is a two-parter. It's a twofer. How do y'all hold down your projects on the CNC? Clamps, blue tape, vacuum, strong hands? Josh, what do you think?
I use my strong hand. No, for what's on my spoiler board is basically MDF. It's what it came with. I've been using it. I've leveled it twice now. I will be probably doing a piece on top of that and leveling that here sometime in the future. I got the file to drill all the little individual holes. That way I'm not getting any more on the base of the CNC. I would like to upgrade it maybe someday and put some aluminum down, or at least
extruded aluminum.
Yeah, something down there. That way, I can continually to replace the bed anytime it gets too thin or anything like that. But I'm not going to upgrade my CNC for a while. I definitely see some of the packages coming out of X-Carve and stuff like that. I'm doing good with what I have, and I really don't want to mess with anything right now. But as far as like cutting out stuff for like my hold downs, one of the first products I did, and I mentioned this during the live today, is I went on and got some files to do some hold down clamps, cut those out. I got these like little T clamps that basically slide up against, butt up your to your piece, and it's it holds it down. I use the original hardware that the X-Carve gives you, and they're like the little what do you call them, Nick? I can't think of the name. The little T's, the bolts they came.
Yeah, they're like bolts with a knob on
like
it.
A plastic. Yeah, and I just use that. I have found that in the beginning I probably was overachieving when I was trying to put down a workpiece. You don't need much. As long as it's, not going to move when a bit's going across it and it's level, you don't have to worry too much about it. That being said, make sure that you test it, grab it, try to move it, left, right, back and forth. And if it don't move, it's not going to go anywhere. Unless you're going really aggressive with your CNC, which you shouldn't be doing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Nick and I have the X-Carve, so we don't have the vacuum table or anything crazy like that. So, we may do what we have, and you can cut all your own hold downs. It's fairly quick, easy. I used half-inch MDF.
Yeah.
Not half-inch MDF, plywood. I use plywood.
So I have a MDF spoil board. However, eventually I want to update to a vacuum bed, which comes with the Stepcraft Q series. Well, it doesn't come with it standard. You have to actually order it with it. But what that does is that makes it so you can zone off the CNC spoil board. And if you're working on a smaller project, or if you're working on like a 4x8 like sheet goods, you can use the entire vacuum bed. And there's a vacuum pump underneath, and that sucks that piece down to that board, and it won't move. It's nice because you don't have to mess around with any clamps. You just get it squared up, Once it starts carving, it's good to go until the end, and then the vacuum shuts off and releases from the bed. Aside from that, it helps keep dust down. I'm assuming because I know my X carve. Like I didn't really think about it at first because I was in that old garage. Once I start that thing up, it kicks up a lot of dust. I don't use the dust collection with the X carve though. I didn't like it. It kept falling off. So I'm still trying to get that squared away. But
first, the dust collection for the X carve, I do use it. I have utilized it pretty much the entire time. The only thing is it doesn't fall off for me. It's just most of my projects nowadays have at least 2 bit changes in them, and because of that, the dust collection is kind of a pain to have to remove and then put back and whatnot. And depending on the project, it's much easier just to leave it off, clean it up afterwards. But it depends on how you CNC.
If you're using MDF, though, if you're like cutting MDF, it's best to just have the dust collector on because that stuff gets in the air and then you're breathing it in. Excuse me. It's a bad time.
Jesus. Anyway, I mean, like MDF or like when I'm leveling something, I try to get that on there too because if I don't, it goes everywhere. Like it just sprays everywhere. The whole shop is covered. So, but yeah, CNC can be messy work depending on what you're doing. Crazy CNC projects up and coming.
So now that I got that laser, man, I've just been like diverting a lot of the stuff that I would do on the CNC to the laser because it's just etching. And I think some of it looks cleaner than carving. So
depending on what you're doing, absolutely. I was talking to AJ from Crafted and NJ about this, and he actually purchased a laser based on my recommendation because he was running into some issues. Now, people with CNCs, and myself included, we run into where someone wants some high quality detail on a very small scale. Now, it's achievable depending on how small scale, but it gets to a point where you just can't achieve that with a CNC. And that's where the laser kind of slides in. And I did an American flag for a individual before I left. And the badges, I went ahead and I carved one. It was a 15-degree V-bit from Tools Today. Yeah, it came out okay. But there was some chip out. There was a little detail, not fully carved. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, it took like an hour and a half to do this. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I have some wood. I'm going to throw it into the Glowforge. I did it. I think it was an hour to do all 3. I cut them out. It's the exact thing. And I put them on there. I'm like, you literally, you could see the detail to such an extent that there was no way I was going to do it on the CNC at that point because I would have done the customer a disservice by doing it on the CNC. And they loved it. They ended up loving, every bit of it. I did not inlay them. I was going to, but then I realized that I kind of liked it popped out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's their cop badge. You know what I'm saying? If you were going to put that on a shadow box, it's going to be raised a little bit. It's not going to be inlaid. And that's something, after 23 years of service or what have you, you're proud of. Mm-hmm. So I went with that. And they seemed to like it. So it wouldn't have been a big deal to inlay it because it was on the CNC anyway. So it would have carved it out and I would have just tapped it in. But
tap it in.
Yeah. I wasn't going to flock it though.
Flock it. Like Bop It, the movie, the TV show, or not the TV show,
flock it.
The game.
Sand it. Bop it.
We should come out with a woodworking game.
Yeah, how are you going to do the flocking part?
So you just do this with
it? And this is where you need the Patreon so you can see exactly what he was referring to. Anywho.
Yeah, man. I'm having a good time just spending pretty much all my free time in the shop. How about you? Enjoying vacation?
I am enjoying vacation. I was going to ask you, been meaning to ask you, is there any big tool buys on the horizon? Because not that I have one, but I mean, what's your wish list for the rest of the year?
Well, let me tell you,
or for the shop.
I'm glad you brought that up. My wish list consists of
Glad you brought that up, Bob.
A Festool TS55 track saw, because this Makita ain't cutting it for me.
Are you serious? You're not liking
I don't like it. I don't like it. It's been burning the wood like crazy. I don't understand why.
You know, it's adjustable and you can adjust the speed and everything, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's like I adjusted it on the track so it slides. It slides easy. It's not loose. And
I know, but you can adjust the speed of the actual saw.
I understand that. And then I adjusted the speed on the saw. Okay, but it binds when I push it across the track. And I don't understand why it's doing that.
Is your track
the track
messed up?
No, I mean it's a brand new track. I just broke it in on the probably like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Right after I got it, I broke it in.
I've never had that issue.
I've been having it bind, and I don't know if it's the blade rubbing against that rubber piece, or what, but it's binding.
Well, all track saws, from my knowledge, have that little rubber piece.
Yeah, but the Festool one's like a little plastic piece. The Makita one's like a rubber piece. So there is a difference. I don't know if I'm just doing something wrong, which I watched videos on it. I'm like, it says like maybe the track saw is like crooked going down the track. So I adjusted it for parallel, and I don't know, man. I just don't know. I never had this much trouble with a track saw before. Fortunately, I don't have any edges that I've burnt that are going to be showing. Everything's going to be framed around, so it doesn't matter at this point. But, you know, when I do, like the Festool right out the box, once I hooked it up to the track, it was such a clean, it was such a clean, smooth finish after it was done cutting.
What blade are you using for that track saw?
Whatever came with it.
Maybe you should upgrade the blade and see if that helps.
Could do that.
I mean, like, I don't know if that's an issue or not. But I mean, I've been using the same blade that came with it, and I've had some burning here and there, but a lot of it's been on maple, which maple burns fairly easy. So
I've never
a little bit on cherry, but that's
never had burning with the Festool, ever.
I mean, Festool, from my knowledge, is the cream of the crop. I mean, like, once you have that, I can see in the Makita not being up to par for yourself. But I've never had a track saw, and it's been working great for me.
I'm very irritated at myself for trading both of my Festool TS55s. And I didn't have two at the same time. I had one, I traded it for a bandsaw, and then I had another one that I saved up for, and I traded it for another bandsaw, and then I was left without one. But
well, I mean, like, you're a marketplace guru. You love the trade, you love the bargaining. I mean, like, that's what you love doing. So it was going to happen eventually. Like, it just happened during the season where there are no tools available anywhere, and you can't get yourself a new one.
That's such horse manure, man. I hate that I can't get one. I mean, I probably could if I really like had no budget. If I could just like spend whatever money I wanted. Hey, buddy, I like your track saw. You want?
That's reasonable.
Is it? Can I buy it off you? No, it's not for sale. Okay, how about for $5 million? Okay, fine.
Would you sell it for a ZJ? What's a ZJ? If you don't know, you can't afford it.
That's right. I don't know. So if anybody's looking for a Makita track saw, they would like to pay close to what I paid for it, just a discount, hit me up. Or if you want to trade, I'll give you cash and the saw trade you for a TS55 or a TS75. I'm not picky.
I don't think anyone's going to trade a Festool for your Makita.
You never know, man. People could be like, oh, I don't really like Festool. I just bought it because it was the most expensive. Which, I mean, let's face it, some people do that, which is fine. That's if you can afford it, that's great. But
so we talked about this like 1,000 times, but stepping up tools is a way that a lot of woodworkers go because, well, in the beginning, you don't know that this is going to become a thing. So you step up, you buy something, you're like, oh, this will do. And then you realize that your clientele and your projects are getting a little bit more complicated and you need more fine detail and you step it up. But if you were like, this is what I'm going to do, you know, biting the bullet on some of these tools are definitely worth it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't regret any tool purchase throughout my entire time. I really do not. I can justify every tool I've bought. I've used every tool. And I learned what I needed through that process. It's just one of those things that you have to kind of learn to grow. And I think if I would have got a Sawstop right off the bat and not went up, you know, the different saws, I probably would have done some damage to either a piece of wood or something. And plus, my wife would have not allowed me to get the rest of the tools I needed to do some of the jobs I do.
If you'd have gotten a Sawstop?
Yeah, I haven't got one, and I don't plan on getting one anytime soon. But, eventually, once at the forever home, I will eventually get a Sawstop or something similar, or the Harvey from Harvey Industries. I like the rigid. I want to keep the rigid as long as I run it to the ground. But when I finally stop moving around, I want that one saw that's going to last me until like my kid starts using it type. And rigid will give me part of the way there, but I don't think they're going to give me the full way. But talking about tools. So before I left, I just snapped a bandsaw blade. It was a 1/2 inch. I think it was a 4 TPI. And it was Timberwolf. Now, I've been using Timberwolf basically from the beginning with all my bandsaws, all 2 of them. And I've had a total of 2 snap on me. The first one was a 3/4 inch 3 TPI, and this last one. And I don't know if it's the brand. I don't know if it's how I was using it. I think I was going too aggressively around 8 curve. Which I have no excuse. I have a 1/4 inch that I could have changed it out to, but for time saving, I was trying to just knock it out with what was in there. But it snapped, scared me pretty good.
Yeah, they're not silent when they snap.
No, if you've never heard that, it's like it always snaps around the weld. Like I've never seen it snap anywhere else. The weld is what gives. So, which you think would be the strongest part.
For those of you that don't know, and I'm not trying to patronize anybody, but some people might not know, but TPI means tooth per inch.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about, sorry about that.
No, it's all good. I just wanted to make it clear so we're not alienating anybody. If you don't use a bandsaw, sometimes you don't know. I didn't know before I bought a bandsaw either. So, and usually, like, do you use yours for, 2 or 3 TPIs for resawing? It's going to be a 3/4 inch blade, right?
Yeah.
So,
yep. 3/4 inch blade is a little like in the specs of my bandsaw. I can use a 3/4 inch. It fits. It's usable, but there's not much clearance on both sides of that boot. So I tried a 1/2 inch. Boot.
You're out close to up there near Canada now, eh?
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. I'm gonna go off on a spill here real quick. So I haven't lived here in about 15 years, give or take, and I'm listening to the radio. And my hometown here, I live where I grew up is about 15 minutes from where I'm currently at. This is the town area. And we had the Moose, which was a country station. And then we had some other radio stations you can get, but really only 3 in the area. And my parents are listening to like an old rock radio station. I'm like, what is this? And they're like, oh, it's off branch from the local. Anyway, long story short, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to the radio and I hear, the host, and I hear this accent pop up. And I've been told I've had an accent here and there throughout my military career, but a lot of people say I don't. And it's weird. It's like a mix of Canadian, watered down, and like a heavy tongue. And I'm hearing it. And I'm like, I've been gone long enough. I can hear my hometown accent. It's crazy. Anywho, back to tools.
Anyway, back to that bandsaw. So you know what really grinds my gears about bandsaw blades? You buy one for the Jet or the, what do you have? The Rikon. And you're going to spend like
Rikon,
$60-$70 on a blade with shipping and tax and
everything
all that
else.
stuff. You go and get a Woodmizer blade. You get a pack of 10 for like 100 bones. Are you kidding me, man? Are you really kidding me? Seriously, they're like $10 a blade.
I've never used them.
Woodmizer,
Are they good?
They do well, yeah. I mean, they do all the log sawing. You know what I'm talking about? There's a mill.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I know, but like,
yeah, dude,
I don't think they make them for bandsaws, do they?
They don't, but that's the irony of it, man.
Oh, okay.
You got a giant bandsaw that's on its side and you're cutting up trees, and that blade costs $10. But you got a small bandsaw inside our garage and they're charging us $60 a blade. You kidding me, man?
When you think about it, I mean, like you probably snap more doing lumber. You sell more, so you can price it lower.
Regardless, man, look at the size. Look at the size difference.
Never mind. Moving
If you
on.
listen, if you have a wood, I know Donald Starnes has a mill, but if you have a mill and you pay a ton of money for your blades, I would love to know. Write us in. Hit us an email at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you pay for blades. And if you have a
Mm-hmm.
bandsaw, what's the most you've ever paid for a bandsaw blade for your shop? Not a mill, an actual bandsaw. So shoot us a DM or send us an email. Let us know, because I just know what I've seen, and what I've seen I don't like.
And what is the best bandsaw blade you ever use? Because like I've been using Timberwolf, but I'm kind of willing to explore my options. I'm willing to,
I heard Laguna is supposed
to
to
go
be
out
like
there and explore.
the bee's knees. By the way, not necessarily the saw, but the blades, the bandsaw blades from Laguna. I heard they're legit. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I've heard really good things from them too. But again, like they're crazy expensive. And I usually have like 2 or 3 blades, and it's usually the 3/4, the 1/2 inch, and then the 1/4 inch. And I can get pretty much anything done. I've resawed with a 1/4 inch. I've resawed with a 1/2 inch, and with a Rikon, I'm telling you, they're great bandsaws. I've literally got paper thin where you can hold it up to the light and see the light through a resaw. So I mean, like, they're good bandsaws.
I like, you know what, resawing. At first, I was like, man, I love resawing, and now I'm just kind of like, it's so boring. Just holding that piece of wood there and letting the wood eat through it, and just kind of pushing it a little bit at a time.
Yeah, I love to resaw. I'm not gonna lie, I do it all the time because when I need to cut out a piece for the mallet, the top piece, or like any kind of glow forge project, instead of using the wood the wood that comes with the glow forge, I'll go ahead and resaw a piece of hardwood. I throw it in there. I get to use that. That comes in handy. Little veneer work. It's not true veneer, but I mean veneer work it makes it easier. When I made that box, it was great because I can make the top panel and the panel for the bottom easily with that. That with the drum sander. Yeah, I mean, like, it makes quick work of making thin stock, and I've said it from the beginning. Once I got that bandsaw, it changed the game in my shop. I've been able to do so much more.
Oh yeah,
and I use it.
No doubt. Bandsaws,
CNC projects too, man.
dude. I'm telling you, a bandsaw is clutch for any wood shop. There's so many different applications. However, I just don't find it fun anymore. That's really the only thing I was getting at on that. Like, it's necessary. It's just not fun anymore.
Fair enough. I mean, everyone has their cup of tea. Like I said, I love the bandsaw work. I use when I do a CNC project, especially like the rounds and stuff I do, I never cut all the way through. I cut about a 1/4 inch down, and then I use the bandsaw to cut the rest. Do flush trim bit on my table, and then that's it. That way I'm not cutting up my MDF spoil board. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to worry about anything, going all the way through one end if something's not level. It makes sense in my shop.
That's right. It makes sense.
But so other than the track saw, any other tool? I know we kind of went on a rabbit hole there with bandsaws.
I'm kind of done for the moment buying tools. I have everything I need. I don't have everything I want, but I have everything I need.
I don't know if I mentioned this the last podcast, but I bought a set of chisels, Stanley Sweethearts. And I got to use them just before I left. I was using them to do some trim work, and man, I think I've been using dull chisels this entire time.
Did you sharpen them, or were they already?
They were pretty sharp right out the get go. I will end up sharpening them a little further once I get back, but I wanted to test them out. I want to see how they were, and I'm telling you, like, the difference is night and day. Like, I can't explain how smooth the cut was. It really makes a difference. So if you have cheap chisels and you're not sharpening them often, like every day, you use them, you just go get a Stanley Sweetheart set. They're not that expensive. I got like the 10-piece set and got a visitor, and it definitely worth it, worth your while. The only thing I was kind of disappointed on, and maybe it's just me, is the sizes are not laser etched anywhere or engraved, which I could do myself. It's not a big deal. Just I expect that to be a thing because that's how all my chisels have been. So
yeah, I gotta say, man, a sharp set of chisels is paramount for a lot of projects.
You know, we talk a lot about sanding. In fact, a couple episodes are dedicated almost sanding on the podcast. But if there's a corner or there's a spot you can't get sandpaper, or you can, but just not working well, you can use a sharp chisel to get that nice, clean look in that corner.
True. I also use it to square off edges and stuff like that are, say you're using a router bit. And, you know, since router bits are round, it's not going to create a square on the outside. It can do the inside. It's not going to do the outside of a square, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've done some CNC work where I've had to use chisels to, you know, square that off, and so pieces fit better, what have you. But I don't know, with these new chisels, I want to start tackling some more joinery. Before, one of the reasons I was holding off was because, like, I was having trouble doing normal stuff with my chisels.
You know what you need to do? So you get your chisels nice and sharp, all right? And then you draw a giant bullseye on the wall, and you have your old lady like tied to the wall, and then you just like start throwing chisels right beside the head, the other side, under the armpits, all that stuff. And you can put on a show for the troops, and you make money. USO tour 2022. Josh Pulowski.
I could do that with my old chisels.
Yeah, well, they won't stick in the wall. That's the problem.
They'll stick in the wall if throw them hard enough.
Well, anyway, I just got done watching Gangs in New York, so that was still fresh.
Okay, it makes more sense now.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of random. Good date night though. Shooting projects, like how you display them, you know, for like Instagram and Etsy and stuff like that.
Yeah, what about it?
Well, I mean, for me personally, in the beginning, I would just throw it in the grass or throw it in the shop or my CNC someplace, or
throw it in the fire,
anywhere. Basically, yeah. Sometimes some of the products I've done, I kind of wish I have, but yeah, man. Looking back at some of my projects, I'm like, I can't believe I gave that.
I can't believe somebody paid for that. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, like, you know, as your skill increases, you start seeing things. This is offshoot from what we're talking about or trying to talk about, but I've had quite a few projects enter the shop that were other people's work, so that I can fix them, so that you know, they broke or add something, what have you, and instantly when they bring it in, I could see how it's built. And, you know, maybe it's because, you know, I've been doing this for a little while or what have you, but some of these projects that come in, I'm like,
ooh, why'd you do that way?
Like, yeah, I would have done it that way. Like, and I don't say much. It's mostly just, you know, internal, but it's one of those things that, like, have you ever had a project show up in your shop and you're like, man, like, you almost wanted to write the guy that did it and be like, hey, you know, here's a pointer.
Yeah, well, no, I just silently talk smack about him in my head, and it's never any good to like, I don't know, especially with somebody you didn't meet, you don't even know him. You just like, hey man, you're jacking up. This is how you can fix it.
Well, so this is where I'm getting at with this. Okay, so, you know, we're part of a community. I'm comfortable, like, if someone saw something wrong with my projects, them reaching out, saying something to me, because criticism is just a way for us to get better. You know, I think Nick and I have done it to each other. I know AJ and I have done it to each other, and you might have a better way to accomplish something I never thought of. I mean, that's one of the benefits of woodworking in this community is we can reach out and be like, hey, we saw this. This might be a better way to go about it. It might give you a better result. But what do you do if they're, you know, they're not part of the community, or they take the criticism bad?
Yeah, they like. I've seen that before. Now I just keep my mouth shut unless I know you. then I'll tell you. But I'm not gonna say nothing. If it's a safety issue, then I'll say something.
Oh yeah.
Like, hey man, you're driving around with no lug nuts. Can you do me a favor and put some lug nuts on those tires?
Well, I mean, what was it? A while back, I showed you a picture of something I hadn't posted yet. And like, I thought looking at it and making it, I thought I was perfect. Like, absolutely didn't see any flaws with it. And I'm sitting there and I sent the photo to you and I instantly saw a flaw in it. And I'm like, I even said to you, I'm like, damn, I just saw something wrong with it because I was so proud of it looking so perfectly. And all it was like, I flattened this piece, but I must have left a little bit higher than one other side because the bit went just a hair deeper and the letters were just a hair thicker. And I can instantly see that there was an issue with it. Now,
I remember when you sent me that flag and the union was too small. So, and I was like, hey, Josh, hey, man, why don't you do me a favor, go get an American flag and take a look at it and then compare yours.
Yeah. So a lot of times with American flag stuff, like I have a base and I copy paste it into another file and I manipulate it. And for some reason for that, the union just did not measure up. And like, I didn't do it on purpose and I didn't double check myself because I'd never done that before. And as soon as you said that, I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God. But we all make mistakes. It's part of the job. I mean, like, and almost every single project I've made a mistake. The difference between the beginning when I started woodworking and now is very clear. So in the beginning, when I made a mistake, it was a big deal. I started sweating bullets. I was worried. Like, I was frustrated. I was mad. I didn't know what I was going to do. Now I'll make a mistake and I literally just glide by it and I'm like, I'm going to fix that. I think I have a good fix. If it doesn't work, I'm going to redo it. It's not the end of the world. And that's an important takeaway.
I just sent you a picture of a flag that I jacked up last night. You tell me if you can see anything wrong with that. And for those of you looking at the camera, I don't know. I haven't posted this picture yet. It's just an American flag that I'm working on. Out of walnut and curly maple.
Oh, the walnut.
Yeah. So I'm willing to bet you the stars are a little off. The bottom left star is a little bigger than the rest of them, but other than that, I think it looks like it should.
Yeah.
The big jacked up part was that I started carving the wording and the lettering that the customer wanted on the 13th.
Yep.
The 13th stripe at the bottom, and then I realized I was carving the wrong thing, so I had to cut the bottom off and put a new bottom on it. So you would never know.
No, I mean, yeah, it looks beautiful. That's a beautiful flag. Sometimes stars are really hard to get perfect just based on like the CNC itself. I think it's the
file, man. It's the hard part is the file. The star might be a little bigger on the ones. I don't know, man.
Well, here's the secret. We use the same file.
Yeah.
For the stars. Because in the beginning you sent me the Star Fox. So when I was using it looked like a hole punch.
Yeah.
Instead of having the crisp clean
I found a different one.
And each one of the stars in that file
were different.
Individual.
Yeah, they were different though.
Yeah.
So somebody made a whole bunch of different stars instead of just making one perfect star and copying and pasting it 50 times. They made 50 different stars with a blindfold on. So
absolutely. And it kind of like jacked with some of the flags I did early on, but we figured it out. We fixed it. But with that, I think that might wrap up this episode. We talked about a lot of different things on this one. We thankfully had a question. I've been out of the shop, so that kind of didn't help at all. But with that, Nick, let's hear some words from our sponsors.
Yes. So National Abrasives has been around a long, long time now. Sell some great stuff. They have they're a Merca dealer, and they're wanting to sell you a Merca sander today. Head up National Abrasives on the World Wide Web. Use promo code MSDN10 for 10% off your order. And if you are outside of Pennsylvania, and you spend $300, shipping is free and it's tax-free. So check them out. They have all the Merca lineup. I bought one off of them. It's amazing. And that 10% on a Merca sander is quite a bit of money. So do yourself a favor.
10% tax-free, no shipping if you're outside of PA and you spend over $300. And if you buy a Merca, it's going to be over $300. Yeah. Plus that 10%, you're saving loads of money.
Loads. Anyway, on top of that, they're just the people that work there are nice. I love the customer service.
Absolutely.
So I've called up there a couple times, talked to them, and they squared me away. No problem. No questions asked. They don't know who I am. Obviously I'm not famous or anything, but they hooked me up. So
shipping speed incredible.
That's right.
I want to mention that.
Next up, we want to thank Totalboat TB. You guys are awesome.
Boom, boom, boom.
Got that wonderful epoxy and the Halcyon and all that other varnish. So if you want a promo code for Totalboat, just shoot us a DM and we'll hook you up. It's a 10% off code. I don't think we're supposed to announce it. So shh. Anyway, it's that TB's on the DL.
There you go.
That TBPC on the DL. Okay, so last but not least, Jtechphotonics. Thank you so much for being one of our great supporters for the past 8 months. We love you. Check them out, www.jtechphotonics.com. If you're interested in a diode laser, Jay's one of the best in the business. Got great customer service as well. Pew, pew. That being said, last but not least, we want to thank you guys, the patrons. Without you, we couldn't make a lot of this stuff possible now. We're developing and we're coming out with this merchandise and all this stuff so you can win it during our lives. All right. We love to see people rocking our swag. If you don't win, fear not. You can visit the Etsy page, which is Sawdust Nation Pod Shop on Etsy, and you can check out what they got in there. We've got t-shirts, tumblers, soon to be hopefully hats. We'll see. If you want to rock it, put it in your Instagram lives, whatever. Give us a shout out. Love to see it.
Talking about Patreons, if you are part of the top tier in our Patreon, you get an extra entry in our giveaways. Like that's 2 entries in any giveaway that we do. That alone.
Tell you what, the winner tonight was one of our patrons, and he had a double entry. So just saying,
it's worth it.
Yeah.
But anywho, if you want to contact us for any kind of questions or anything else, you can contact Nick at NPG Creations on Instagram, or myself, North Country Woodworking at North Country Woodworking on Instagram. And the Sawdust Nation podcast page is on Instagram as well. And you can shoot us a voicemail or a question or, pictures of your project on our Gmail. So at Sawdust Nation podcast at gmail.com. You're listening in Apple. Please leave a review. The more reviews, the better ratings that we have. We need that 5-star review. And if you don't, Walnut the Cat's going to find you.
Meow.
And can't guarantee what's going to happen once that happens. So, meow. Stay tuned for next episode coming up next week.
Do we have a guest next week?
I think we do. Let me double check. Yeah, we have a guest next week. It's going to be the Creative Grain. He's going to be on and talking wood shop with us and what's going on in his as a guest host. So it's going to be a good episode. Great guy. I've talked to him many times about the Glowforge and other projects. So with that, man, parting words.
Still waiting on Jesus to come on the show.
Yeah, well.
Anyway.
Maybe someday. Or Buddha.
Yeah. Hey, so I want to let you guys know we love you. Take care of yourselves and each other. And baseball was wrong. Man with 4 balls cannot walk. Have a good night, everybody.
Such great parting words. Everyone, thank you for listening to Sawdust Nation podcast. Thank you for turning on your shop, your car, where have you. Just thank you. Listen to the podcast, make some sawdust, and Sawdust Nation out. Out left field.
Dude, I don't know what came over me. Confucius say, man with 4 balls cannot walk.
I don't know what came over you either.
Confucius say, baseball is wrong.
And you're staring right in the camera, looking like it looks like into my soul. I thought your eyes started to water. I thought you were going to say something like down to earth and like moving. And all of a sudden you come up with that. And I'm like,
hey, it just comes to me like that. It's like I don't know. It's a gift.